Anthony Hartwig here with a Crestview softball player profile. I'm joined by Brooke Brubaker. Brooke, I told you before we started that this is one that was a long time in the making. You're someone that we wanted to get all season. We finally got you scheduled. Thank you so much for getting the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You got it. So the first question I have for you is: there's a lot of turnover in Crestview this year. With the
Yeah.
graduations from last year, there are a lot of new players that are coming in, and you even have a new head coach that came in this year as well. You were one of the mainstays of last year's team and that very successful team last year. What were some of the things that you did to try to keep some consistency in this program and try to keep it on the track and keep the standard where it was last year?
Definitely the big thing for me was trying to build that team chemistry because we were all so close last year. And losing like Kenna, Carson, Caden, Alexis, all of them, just really trying to keep everyone together and keep our love for the game and play for each other instead of just playing for ourselves.
Now that your season is over and you can kind of really reflect on it, how do you think the team did with all that? Like, were they pretty together, the chemistry tight?
Um,
What was it
I
like being in
think
the dugout with you guys?
I think we definitely struggled a little bit in the beginning just because it was a very different group of girls and girls coming up from JV that hadn't played varsity before and varsity players before. But I think towards the end of the season we all got really close to each other and it was definitely a hard goodbye. And we really loved our seniors, so it sucks to see them leave this year too.
It was a pretty late coaching change. What was that like going through that and trying to
Yeah.
navigate that situation?
um Eskra decided he was going to stop about winter. So when he I mean Coach Miller was an assistant coach last year, so
Mhm.
we at least like knew him. It wasn't like a random person,
Right.
but I think he did really good. He took it on really well. Practices went good. I It definitely could have been a lot worse. I think we did really good with it.
I mean, what kind of a blessing was that someone that you already knew and someone that already knew you guys was able to
Oh,
step
huge.
up and lead that team?
He's been in the softball program for a long, long time, and he really just does love the game. So he was a good person to have around.
So this is an interesting question to ask about Coach Miller. Did his philosophies or style or personality or anything like that change when he went from the
Um,
assistant coach to the head coach?
he not necessarily his individually, but like his way, his tactic of playing from Eskra's was definitely varied a little bit for sure. Yeah.
You had a big leadership role on this team this year. I know you're not a senior yet; you're just a junior, but the upperclassman. And like I said before, you were one of the people that really were a mainstay in last year's team. How do you handle the leadership responsibilities that you knew you were going to be taking this year?
Um, I would say just trying to keep the energy up because in our league we got some really tough teams like Champion, and no one was really like necessarily really bad this year. Um, so just trying to keep that energy up and never quit no matter how far we're down. That's what I try and do and lead as best as I can, whether I'm on the mound or in the dugout or on the field.
Talk about navigating that tough schedule. Like you said, that league is very hard with not just your big names like the champions of the world and Garfield and obviously Brookfield, but also it seems like everyone in this league, even the ones that
Yeah.
maybe struggled last year, put together a quality season. What was that like navigating that MVAC?
I would say the rain definitely made it difficult because before we played Champion, I don't think we played for about a week. And then you see some teams, and then you see a whole other team, and the pitching's all really different. So it's just really hard to keep yourself in it mentally as a player. Definitely, for sure. Some of those teams are just crazy.
How much did you lean on what you guys went through last year as a kind of experience for that? Because last year we thought the rain was bad. This year, last year the rain was terrible, and you
Yeah,
guys probably got like
yeah.
maybe 13 games in. How much did you kind of like lean on what you guys went through last year?
Yeah, definitely just remembering how it went last year and trying to keep the rhythm in practice. And when you're in the gym, it's hard to, there's not a lot to do when you're in the gym. So trying to keep your swing the same, trying to keep your mentality still there is definitely a challenge, but it's nothing we haven't done before.
Let's talk about your softball journey and when you kind of started to pick it up and when you really started to fall in love with the sport that now obviously you put so much time into.
Well, for me personally, I've played since I was 3 or 4, and when I ended up getting diagnosed with Lyme disease, actually, is when I really, really started to find my love for it when I couldn't do it as much anymore, and I really started to miss it, and that's when I started to put even more time into it.
Was there a moment that you can remember where you think that you really fell in love with the sport and you made that decision of, I am going to put time into it and I am going to take it seriously?
When I was younger and I threw my first no hitter, just that feeling of like feeling like all those practices came together and did something for me definitely pushed me for sure.
What are some of your first memories of being on the softball field? Because you said you started when you were 3 or 4. I'm guessing that some of those times at 3 and 4 and 5 maybe outside of the memory bank. So, what are some of your first memories of
I can
playing
remember
softball?
my dad and like he we used to do like coach pitch obviously. I can think all the way back to 8U playing those teams like South Range and Poland at Springfield and just the lights, that cool feeling when I was younger just was like the world to me.
When you think about how far you've come and even from last year to this year, what do you think are some big changes that you've seen, not just in your softball and the X's and O's, but yourself as a person just in the last couple of years with this varsity program?
Definitely. I think my batting has come a very, very long way. I put a lot of time and thought and video watching into that pitching form as well. Just trying to focus on like the mechanics and the little things kind of. Mentally, I think definitely like pushing through adversity and rough games and keeping yourself positive through hard times, slumps, coming out of stuff like that has gotten a lot better for sure.
You bring up the mental aspect of the game, and obviously it's so important for every softball player because it's a sport that is built to make you fail in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
How do you kind of keep yourself in the right mental mindset and try to keep yourself mentally strong on the field?
Before every at bat, before every game, I always sit and I think and try and take myself through the game and just know I can only do the best I can and know that I'm obviously not going to do it perfect every single time and know mistakes are bound to happen and not try and beat myself up on the little things, but do what I can to keep them from happening.
Because of the nature of the sport, everyone's going to go through adversity in their career. It's just the sport teaches you so much.
It does.
What's the biggest form of adversity you think you've had to face, and how did you overcome it?
For me, I got diagnosed with Lyme disease my 8th grade year, and that had me bedbound for a while. So, that coming out of that and trying to find my love for the game after that and battle through all that pain and all the medicine and all the stuff like that was definitely probably the hardest thing I've had to go through softball wise and me wise too.
What kind of things did coming out of that and coming on the other end of that and kind of being able to navigate it now, what does that make you like reflective on? What does that make you appreciative of? What kind of things does it do for you?
It made me appreciate softball so much more, the little things like eating with my family, being able to get up and do things every day. But it also really made me realize how much, because if you would have asked me like before I got sick if I could do any of that, I would have said absolutely not. And it just really made me realize that I could do a lot more than I thought I could. I can take a lot more pain than I thought I could. And pain tolerance is definitely a really big thing that it taught me. And realizing that at the end of the day, it is just a game and I'm doing it for me and to try not to beat myself up about it.
Let's talk about people in your life that were able to get you through that. When you think about the people that obviously were in your corner the whole time, who comes to mind the most when you think about people
Um,
that got you through it?
my mom and dad, my siblings, and the seniors last year actually were a huge part of that for me because last year was probably softball wise one of like the most painful seasons I went through, and they were there every step of the way, telling me to never stop, keep going, and they really pushed me through last season for sure.
Having seniors like that last year, how much did that give you? We talked about your leadership, and you're going to be even a bigger leader next year as a senior. How much did that give you kind of a roadmap on how to do it when now you're leading?
I just knew it meant so much for me. So now I want to try and do that for my sophomores and freshmen, and I try and be there for them, and I try not to be scary. Try to just be like friendly and inspire them to keep doing what they want to do and make them the best they can be too.
When you had players that meant so much to you graduate, what was it like going into this year? Were there ever kind of like nerves of, okay, those
Oh
players
yeah,
aren't there anymore, or what was it like coming into this year without Carson and Caden?
especially because Coach Miller just was going to be the head coach now. It was like just so different. And when we had that first bus ride with them there, even in winter when we were playing, it was just like so weird having Caden on the mound or even in the dugout because they were really just such like so energetic and so happy. Carson behind the plate is just like such a relief too all the time. Brenna does really good back there for us this year. But without their energies going, it was definitely something to adjust to for sure.
Let's talk about your travel softball that you get to play in the summers as well as your varsity level softball experience. How much does that help you build yourself as a player, and how much does that experience in the summers playing travel ball build you as a softball player?
Oh, so much. Travel ball is definitely a whole different like environment than high school ball. And the girls I'm with there, I love so much, and they're all just amazing ball players. And just to be able to travel a little bit and be out there on a field with girls like that just pushes you and drives you even more to want to be the best you can be.
On travel teams, you get to expose yourself with players that maybe aren't from Crestview and don't play for Crestview from all over the area. Who are some of your best friends that don't wear the Crestview uniform?
Howland, Alyssa Masucci, LeBray, Riley McDonough, Garfield, Lizzie, Zoe King from Howland as well, and even like girls that I played with in the past, like girls from Fitch, my cousin from Fitch. There's so many people from so many schools around here, so it's really cool to be able to play people that mean so much to me a lot.
When you think of, being able some of those players you mentioned you get to play against, what's it like having that friendly rivalry a little bit, bragging rights on the line a little bit? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, uh, my favorite one was Riley McDonough. Playing her because she catches, so her behind the plate when I'm in the box is it's definitely fun. And pitching to them girls that I play too, like Alyssa from Howland. She's insane in the plate and just trying to, pitch around them but not act scared at the same time is definitely difficult.
When Riley comes to the plate, you gotta be like, "This isn't
Oh,
fair. You catch me in the summer. Come
she got
on."
me a few times. A lot of girls from the travel team got me a good few times. They're so much respect to them. They're great players.
But, you've been able to get some other people a few times. You had a very successful season inside the circle when you look at your numbers. What was working so well for you with your pitching this year?
This year I tried to just focus a lot on like changing speeds and working the high low inside outside. My curveball for sure this year helped me a lot hitting that, and I like to work the inside a lot, so the inside corner hitting that a lot too for sure. Just hitting my spots.
I know you've brought up your family a couple times already, but I wanna talk about them because I think everyone knows the Brubaker name from Brubaker Farms and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
What's it like being a part of this family? And I know every family has something that makes them unique. What do you think
Mhm.
makes yours unique? And what are some things that you think is really special about the people that are in your life, family-wise?
We are all the way to my brother, even if you won't say it. We are definitely a softball loving family, and if you haven't noticed, we're really big on the mentality part. And my dad helped coach my travel ball too, and just the way he sees life in the game is just very interesting. And we're all very close when it comes to the sport. Travel ball, me, my younger sister, she's already really good. Just I think softball is like something that really does hold us together for sure.
What's it like living in a household that is so softball centered? I mean, you never get away from it. You come home from a
No.
game and you have a lot of people asking about you. What's that been like for you?
I wouldn't have it any other way. It's definitely I come home, I'm going to my sister's tournament. We're in the car ride on the way to my tournament. We're watching her live stream on Game Changer. We come home, go pitch. It's just like it's nice to have so much support around you about something you love so much. My little sister is definitely means a lot to me. Having her just seeing her pitch from when she was so little and be where she's at now is just insane. And our pitching coach is so good too, so she means a lot to us too.
Who were some softball players that you looked up to when you were young, like role models or players that you wanted to mold your game after?
The basics: Jenny Finch, Montana Fouts, those pitchers that are just insane. Jocelyn Allo from Oklahoma, her batting just I'd always love to look at that too. Just so cool to just sit and watch them. They're and want to have push me to be like them one day for sure.
I mean, if you're gonna look up to people, it might as well be the
The
home run
best.
queen of
Yeah,
college
yeah,
softball and,
exactly,
the
exactly.
the Division I strikeout leader, hey.
Hmm.
Hey, when you think of some of the things that you want to do still in your softball career, goals that you still have for yourself going into your last season next year, what goals are you setting?
I have been this year I looked a lot more at my batting than I did my pitching, but I would like to try and keep my batting average up throughout next year, possibly more than this year. I think I finished with a 522 this year. I would like to try and keep it a little more above that next year. And pitching wise, hit my spots better than this year. Maybe pick up a few miles an hour. Consistency.
522, not satisfied.
Oh,
A lot of people see that and go,
it
"What?"
can always be better.
You're
It can
hitting,
always
you're
be
hitting over
better.
500, Brooke.
Yeah, it can always be better.
Not good enough.
Gotta
Not
go
good
up, not
enough.
down.
When you think about futures, one of the last things I want to talk to you about is the future. You're going into your senior year. You have to start thinking about what you want to do with your life after high school and some of the things that you want to kind of achieve as far as a career. Have you started thinking about all that at all? What kind
I
of things
definitely
come to
have.
mind when you think about the future after high school?
I want to go into like psychology, counseling, sports psychology, stuff like that. And I definitely want to play college ball. I'm not sure how far I want to go or what I want to do yet. It kind of depends on where the offers go and where it takes me. But I'm excited to see where I end up after the next few years for sure.
All right, so let's start with the career path first. Obviously, sports psychology probably means a lot to you. How much did going through what you went through with Lyme disease and all that mental stress that you went through make you want to go into that field yourself?
It completely did actually, because before Lyme disease, I thought like sports medicine was where I wanted to go. And then once I started playing through popping ribs out and so much pain and all the medicine and the mental part and severe diets and stuff like that, it just really made me realize that there's a lot of other people out there, even if it's not Lyme disease, going through something that's so hard. And I would hate to see other kids or other people lose a love for a game just because life's throwing so many curveballs at them. And I would just like to, help as much as I can.
Now let's talk about the softball side of things, playing at the next level. What kind of things would you look for in a prospective coach or a prospective program if they come to you and say, "Hey, we might want you to play"? What kind of things would you be trying to look for in that program to decide that it is where you would want to go?
Coaching is a big part for me, just making sure it's a healthy, positive environment with where I can learn and build myself as a player and be a part of a family in a really close knit program.
All right, Brooke, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to thank anyone else you want to kind of give a shout out to and let the people know in your life that how much you appreciate them.
I want to, my family, friends, all of them, and Jacqueline Carpenter, my pitching coach, she has pushed me through things that I could not think I would have ever went through, and I just want to say thank you to her for sure.
All right, Brooke, we want to thank you for your time. Glad we're
Thank you
finally
for
able to
having
get
me.
this scheduled. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck going forward into your summer and into next year as well. And we look forward to talking again real soon.
Thank you. Have a nice day.